So here what I am presenting is how compliance will be important to every entrepreneur, everyone, and particularly the regulatory compliance. Okay. So when you talk of compliance just means actually we are doing compliance everywhere. Even at home we are doing compliance. We work to certain rules, certain standards. So you have compliance in your governance. We have to adhere to laws, adhere to policies. So compliance is like the simplest example you can see for a compliance is like if you want to like buy a car, what will you be looking at? Most of the people will say, I will look at the color, the capacity, what is its horsepower, so the brand, so many things. But no one will say, I will check the brake. So if you ask me, compliance is something like that. It's a control mechanism. For every business, every entrepreneurship, every firm, you need a control mechanism. See, if like the brake in a car. So when somebody jumps across, it is the brake, whatever be the color, whatever be the horsepower, it is a brake which let you know, put it and does not, so that something adverse does not happen. Compliance is something like that. Once you have it in place, many things will not happen which you don't want to happen. So compliance means it's a control mechanism for every business, every firm. So it can be in like many ways. You have to, even at home, we have certain rules. We don't allow children to do certain things. It's like that. We will have to think like the culture has to be built in every organization. And it has to start from the top. The compliance should come from the top. And then it has to move and it has to have certain things which I would try to explain. So there are different types of compliance. Here, what we are talking is only of regulatory compliance. But when we see you have financial compliance, you have AML compliance, legal compliance, then consumer protection, there are so many compliances. It's a vast thing. Here we are confirming this to only regulatory compliance. So regulatory compliance is mandatory. You will have to adhere to it. See, every organization needs to adhere to it because you have certain laws, regulations, specifications, standards under which you work, wherever it is. And it can be specific to your industry, specific to where you're working, specific to the state. So there can be different kind of regulations because as you move along, you'll understand like it's not only from the central government, it can be from the state government, it can be from the local bodies, from the industry specific. So there are certain things which we must do, which is mandatory. And as of now, you understand failure to do so can lead to legal penalties, and also like it can not only monetary penalties, but also like if it is food and if something goes wrong, many of the local laws says imprisonment is also a must, along with the monetary penalty. So this is a mandatory function, and whatever we are doing, we should consider all of this into our right from we starting the business. We should consider all of this. So like see, when you talk about compliance, you should think that when you start itself, you should have a comprehensive policy and a compliance management program. So many people don't bother about compliance policy because there are so many other things. But when you have a written down policy and you have an internal processes, it will help you in achieving the necessary accreditation, or it will also impart the culture to your staff. So if you don't have a written down policy, it's very difficult to manage compliance. So we should, maybe it's a small thing, even if it's a small firm, you should first look at what all things we need to do, and then make a written down policy. So when you talk about compliance policy or when you talk about compliance, the first thing which should come to mind is compliance and risk go together. It's like compliance always go along with risk. So compliance is in a way managing the risk. What we need to do is, before moving to a compliance program, let us take out the risk which is associated with what we are doing. The first thing is, unless you know what is it that you are facing, it's very difficult to block it. So the first thing is, whatever industry, whatever work you're doing, you have to identify the risk. Once you identify the risk, then you will have to analyze it and put an action point. There are many things which you will have to mitigate the risk. You would have, in your system itself, there will be many things, but it is always better to identify, write down and know, okay, what are the risks I am going to face, the probability of how it can happen. There are inherent risks with everyone, and whatever we do, you cannot just annihilate the risk to a full extent, because the risk is bound to come. But only thing is, knowing it prior will let you take informed decisions. So the first thing is you identify the risk, then you analyze the risk and set action points, and then make how you can monitor the risk by putting in mitigation measures, identify the risk up to which what you can take. You have to have, everyone need to have an appetite for up to what level I can take it. So once you know, okay, this much I can go, before that, after that, I will not go there, it should stop. So compliance and risk go hand in hand, and before you start a compliance program, you should always try to identify what risk is. Suppose you are doing a business. So what risk, it's a textile business, what risk I will possess? If it's a factory, what can happen? All these things should be understood, and you will have to identify and document it, and that will help you in controlling. And an effective compliance program can help your business in mitigating and preventing possible events from detrimentally affecting your operations. So things are bound to come, but once you know it earlier, you can face it in a better way. And then once you manage the risk, then you can manage the compliance. A comprehensive policy and compliance management program can help in increasing efficiency across multiple departments in an organization. So this you can understand, once you have a compliance management, it will definitely increase your efficiency. So when you have a policy, it is in your culture, it comes, it will increase your efficiency in many ways. So if it's a startup, compliance program should start with some form of an analysis. You will start, okay, I'm going to start the business. So what kind of compliance issues will come? When you do the analysis itself, it helps to understanding the business state, current business, and based on your risk analysis, you can create relevant policies and procedures can be prepared. So once you create the policies and procedures and the processes are set, this should all start while you starting itself. If you move like this, then it will help you a lot in managing your business. Many people think business and compliance are always at like warheads. It's not like that. It should go together. Only then your business will improve. So like better aligning the business strategy alignment. So a compliance management program can help giving better insights in your business and give you information you need to direct and control your operations. So that is again, a compliance management program can help you in giving you better insights. So there are certain things which you would not have looked at if you are not looking at from a compliance perspective. So the compliance state assessment is to create an action plan to fill any gaps which may exist. So most of there was a time when the CEOs were looking only at businesses, but the recent guidelines, if you see most of the government guidelines, the Reserve Bank of India guidelines, they want the board to look at compliance. So compliance has come out as a very important topic, which even the regulators are asking the board to look at it. And always the compliance head is directly reporting to the board. That gives us a perspective how important compliance is becoming. So it's a really a topic and where the turn from the top matters a lot. So, and again, this is like a SWOT analysis. When we do a SWOT analysis, the understanding the strength and weakness of the businesses, as well as the opportunities and threats, we never think of the compliance also. But in the new strategy, you have to also look at the risk and compliances, then which will enhance the efficiencies. An efficient business should also look into the compliance aspects and defend any possible threats. That will help you to understand threats and vulnerabilities beforehand and to be prepared for them. So the SWOT analysis should always include the risk and the compliance also. Then again, the brand reputation. See, everything works on the reputation of the brand. As we all know, all of us go by the brands. So what is the fundamental element in building a successful business? It is the trust. So achieving compliance enhances the trust the customers or the stakeholders have in your brand. So the trust comes by doing compliance. So when there is a adverse media, that there is a negative news about any firm, the brand reputation goes down. So when stakeholders deal with company which has achieved a compliance accreditation, then they know they are dealing with organization which has a certain degree of standard. So nowadays the standard works a lot because your brand and how it works, it has a the reputation value is there. So compliance also forms a very important part in building the brand. So that also we need to understand and we have to take that also into consideration. And actually it is a mandatory function, but it also benefits business. So regulatory compliance is a mandatory requirement. So when correctly implemented, it has regulatory compliance will reduce risk. It will increase efficiency, provide insights into the business, facilitate better strategic alignment, enhance the organization's brand. So actually here, when we talk about regulatory compliance, we should always have a compliance plan. Maybe you need to have a compliance calendar where when there is a regulatory requirement, because you may have monthly returns to submit, maybe monthly, quarterly, half yearly, and yearly. There are so many things like the GST, the tax, so many things, other returns which industry specific. So we need to make a compliance plan and a compliance calendar wherein we should put all these things together so that that will reduce your risk, that will see that you are doing things on time, which will reduce the risk, which can increase efficiency. And also this will also provide, if you are looking at it, this will also provide insights in your business when you are reviewing this. And it also gives, like once you know prior what you have to do the next quarter, it will give you a better strategic alignment. All this together will enhance the organization's brand value. So there are so many relevant laws, say, because you are from a diverse industries. I've just put some of the laws like company formation, accounting and taxation, labor, which is very, very important, labor or employment laws. And then the safety, health and working conditions, which has come out in 2019. Then most important, IT and privacy laws, data protection laws, the intellectual property laws, because there can be cyber attacks, because we are all, now most of the things, everything is in like the systems. So all these things needs to be taken care of, because we cannot think, okay, this will not happen to me. It's not like that. It can happen to anyone. So we need to know what are the laws, what all things we should be adhering to. So there are many things which we will not know. We will think this is not applicable to me, but if something goes wrong, it can be applicable to you also. So that is why we need to do a risk analysis to find out what all things are applicable to us. Uh, Even for a new entrepreneur, it's very important that they should look at all these things and then do the analysis, what all things will be applicable. Then I've just put a case study for one textile cloth industry. So this is a real case study where they have 2 plants and 3 offices. So now compliance is moving mostly from manual into systems. So the challenges they can face is manual tracking of compliances across different offices and plants. If you have different offices, it becomes very difficult to track things. So slowly, maybe these things have to move to systems. Then poor understanding of various industry-specific acts. Again, there are industries other than the general acts like the GST, other things. There are many industry-specific acts for each industry. So that has to be properly understood. Then in this particular case, like Handlooms Act, Textile Committee Act, Jute Packaging Material Act, there are different acts. This is applicable for different industries also. Then lack of clarity on a comprehensive list of applicable acts and compliances. So many times we should have the right person to interpret the acts and understand what is applicable to you, what is not applicable to you. So, and again, manual search for applicable legal updates. Many things are getting updated. It is always like you need to subscribe to whatever you are doing to like get updates on time, and no central document repository. It is good that you keep a compliance repository. What all things you will have to do, what all things on a system, you will have to keep all those things, because many times there can be again saying that this has not been received. So this needs to be done. Then instances of financial penalties on account of delays and missed commitments. Then multiple instances of missed display compliances. All these can be challenges which we can face. So we need to take all these as challenges and then take this forward by mitigating all these challenges and then forming, including what all these things into your compliance plan and managing it. So a lot of time spent on getting statutes of compliance across, status of compliance across the company. That is why this need to be systemized, and it's high time we move from manual to systematic compliance reporting things. Then compliance training is also very important. It is not only the top management who should know. The compliance training should be given to all your employees based on the laws. So knowing what you are doing is important. That would help them maybe do many things in a better way. So it can include regulations which is related to that jobs, employee specific also you can give. Like if somebody is customer facing, so then they must be given a different training based on the compliance, ethics, and such things, how to deal with customers, all such things should become part of compliance. So the compliance training becomes important with respect to the thing that they have to, it needs to be focused on employee based, who is doing what. So there is no need in giving everyone the same training. Let us focus it and on who should be doing what, and accordingly we have to train the employees. The compliance training seeks to reduce risks. The company's stakeholders follow a set of rules that apply to them. So here, the compliance training will always help as a firm to reduce our risk. So it should be all employees to follow the company's rules. So again, we will onboard employees, but many times they may not even know the company's rules. Though we have to make it a point that the government rules, the company's rules, all are important. Only if you work based on the rules, many risks will not happen. So if it is out of it, things can happen. So we need to be careful here that we train our employees properly, that they work within our compliance culture and ethics. So maintaining a good work environment for employees and stakeholders, and companies' reputation, and preventing monetary loss. So we will have to tell them how important the ethics and compliance is, so that they follow this. If one person doing a wrong thing can make the entire firm, see the reputation of the entire firm. So the customer can say that they will not say this particular person, they will say it is this company has done wrong. So we need, that is why we need to train employees also. That is the objective. So to get our company into good state is for each and every one of the firm should work in tandem. So there are different types of compliance training, like corporate compliance training and regulatory compliance training. So in corporate, actually, the top management should understand industry-specific policies and procedures, and also any applicable local and federal laws. So whereas regulatory compliance, it will do with efforts for the organizations for rules and regulations which needs to follow. And these laws and policies vary by industry and often by location, like the local government laws are different as per their corporations, municipality where it is done. So all this needs to be understood properly. Maybe this is all what I have prepared for today, but it's open for questions. You can ask anything on compliance.